It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Mr. Smooth and Savvy is joined by guests from all walks of life, from the entertainment industry to authors to political and social commentators, the famous and not so famous, the controversial and the light and fluffy. We have it all. Now, here's Douglas Coleman.
Heidi-ho, hey. Welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show. It's me, Douglas Coleman. As always, how are you? Thank you for joining us. We've got a good show for you today. We've got two guests and a track to play from a MusicSubmit.com submission. My first guest up is Teddy Hayes. Teddy is a music producer, a director, a playwright, scriptwriter, filmmaker, novelist, and the list goes on. He's done many things. He's worked with some very notable people, such as Quincy Jones and Roberta Flack, amongst others. He's also got a book series out, and it's on its 7th part, if you will. It's called the Devil Barnett Detective Series. Currently, there are 6 books out, and he said he's working on the 7th. He will tell us all about that in the interview. He will be followed by Stephen Ferrill. Stephen is a lifelong trivia fanatic who has written the 6th edition, and he's working on the 7th, I guess, of the Game Show Trivia book. And it's a book that many people have used to brush up for the test to get on shows like Jeopardy and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. He will tell us about that, as well as what it takes if you're interested in getting on Jeopardy. He's been through the process many times. After the interviews, we've got one track to play from MusicSubmit.com submissions. Thank you very much to everybody who has been submitting. We really appreciate all the great music, and we're happy to play it. This track is called Shelter in Place, and the artist is Tamra L. Wilson. So that'll be after the interviews. Our video show is coming along. The set is done. The lighting is done. Now we're just fine-tuning everything, and we'll have a dress rehearsal probably next week sometime. And then we'll see about booking our first guest for the show. So look for that coming in July. It'll be the Douglas Coleman Show video edition. Anyways, lots to get to. We will be right back with Teddy Hayes.
The show's about to start.
I'm coming as fast as I can.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Ooh, don't know my own strength.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Okay, please welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show, Teddy Hayes. Hey, Teddy, how are you?
How are you? Douglas, I'm fine.
I don't know where to start with you. I'm reading through your bio. You've done all kinds of stuff, haven't you?
I have.
Man.
I've been around a while. About 40 years.
Yeah, you've been around a while. You've done a lot of work.
Still working.
Still working.
Thank God.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. Well, why don't you just tell us, what were you doing first? Why don't you give us a little chronology of your life?
I think first I was in Cleveland, Ohio, interested in music, working a lot in music and television. I was lucky enough to get a job in television while I was still at Cleveland State University. And so by the time I finished and graduated in 1974, I had about a year and a half experience, which meant I got a job very quickly. And I went on from there to make a short film that got me recognized enough to become acquainted with Quincy Jones, who then helped me to get my first appearance on the stage, my work on the stage. And then at this very same time, I met Melvin Van Peebles, who I did some work for, and he liked me, and he recommended that I become a road manager for his friend Roberta Flack, which necessitated me from moving from California to New York in about 4 or 5 days. I did that for a while, and then after that was over, Melvin offered to be my, I guess you would say, apprentice master. He offered me what would be the equivalent of an apprenticeship. He said basically to come and work for him, and he would teach me everything that he knew about the business. And that's what I did. So after I worked with Melvin for about 3 years, I went and started freelancing, and that's been freelancing ever since.
So what do you call yourself? Are you a musician? You a filmmaker? An actor? All of the above?
Everything except an actor. I don't really consider myself an actor. I have acted, but I'm not an actor. I'm a writer, producer, director, songwriter. And I say that because I get paid for doing all of these things.
Well, then it counts.
That's the thing that counts. If they don't pay me, I don't claim it.
If you do get paid for it, you definitely can put it on your resume. I think that's the rules.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You had a band called Funky Constellation?
Yes, back in 1979.
This sounds sort of George Clinton-esque. Is it?
Very much so,
yeah.
Very much so. We were very influenced by George Clinton, who was very hot in those days, and we did a song called Madam Rapper Street Talk. And unbeknownst to us, this song got very big, but we didn't plan it that way. We put a breakbeat in the middle of this song, and that was just around the time people were starting to sample records. And the hip-hop guys started to sample this breakbeat, and it just became well-known. And that's what happened. We became a part of hip-hop history without really planning to or knowing how we did it.
I was in New York studying acting right around that time, about a year later. I got there in 1980. And I can remember all of those kids breakdancing on the sidewalks, with just like they'd get a piece of cardboard.
Yes.
And put it on. Yeah. And spin around on their head. And I thought, God, how could they do that? They must hurt.
Yes, that was, you were right at the earliest days of doing that. They were doing that right on the street, and they would have one guy walking around getting money from other people who were watching.
Yeah. Oh, they were great fun to watch. And I think I gave a few bucks. I didn't have any money, when I was there, but I always appreciated artists, and that was cool because it was something new. I'd never seen anything like it.
No, I don't think anybody had. I remember going to a club and seeing these guys do this break dancing, and I just I was amazed that anybody could do that. But these kids were really giving it all they had, and they created an art form that's still going strong today, believe it or not. In Europe, breakdancing is still very big.
In Europe?
Yes.
So what are you working on now?
Right now, I'm working on releasing a book called 621. It's the 7th book in my Devil Barnett detective series, and it's very apropos for what's going on in the States today because it's about a group of people who become assassins, and they start killing people who have connections in politics and in the police and that kind of stuff. And Devil Barnett, the detective, is brought in to try and solve these crimes.
Now, this is a series, you said?
Yes, this is the 7th book in the Devil Barnett series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been writing this thing for about 20 years.
So it's a little more risque than like Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew mysteries?
Totally. No, there's a lot of hardcore, hard-boiled violence in this.
Oh, okay.
And it's also a lot of social commentary because the detective is a black ex-CIA hitman who remade himself and became a private detective in Harlem, partly to atone for his past life as a killer by helping people in need of his special skills.
Well, it sounds very interesting. 7 parts? Wow. I'm just trying to picture. So this could be a mini series or something, yeah?
Oh, easily. Yeah, easily. In fact, I'm just releasing number 7, but I'm working on number 9. I will release number 7 at the end of the month, and people can go buy the book on Amazon called 621. Then my next book will be released in August, the 8th book in the series, and that's called The Killing of Eleanor Rigby.
The Beatles song?
Yeah.
You're going to kill Eleanor Rigby?
I'm going to kill Eleanor Rigby.
Well, Paul McCartney might not like that. Did you ask him about that?
Well, you don't need to ask Paul McCartney because it's a name that's basically in the public domain now.
Well, she was a real person.
Absolutely.
And she was.
And there are people around named Eleanor Rigby.
And I think she was dead when he wrote the song. Anyways, I think he got it off of a tombstone or something.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
So tell me about. I'm just reading this one thing here. It says Hayes has been writing music inspired by the Devil Barnett books and is the creative force behind a touring stage tribute to the work of Marvin Gaye. Did you ever meet Marvin? Did you ever work with him?
I never met Marvin Gaye, but when I came to the UK to live in '96, I was really interested in going into the musical theater. And my second show was a show called I Remember Marvin, because I looked around and no one had put all of Marvin Gaye's songs together. And that's what I did. I put 4 singer-actors together and wrote a show called I Remember Marvin. And we toured it around the UK and then took it to Germany.
Who was singing?
4 different people, 2
okay.
guys and 2 girls.
Yeah, Marvin Gaye is one of my favorites. I just can't get enough of him. Could listen.
Oh
to
yeah,
him.
he was a one-off really.
He just had that voice that would just put you in a trance.
Oh, definitely. And I grew up on Marvin Gaye in Ohio, which was Cleveland, Ohio, which is only 2 hours driving from Detroit. And in the '60s, we would have a new Marvin Gaye song about every 3 or 4 weeks. As all Motown songs came to us very quickly, and there were little clubs. I did go to see Marvin Gaye when I was about 16 in a very small club in Cleveland, Ohio called Leo's Casino. And it was such a small club that they only had maybe 100 seats, tables in the whole club. So it was a real up-close experience. And at the time, I didn't know Marvin Gaye played piano. And I remember that all the band walked off stage and he sat down and played By the Time I Get to Phoenix on the piano, just him and the piano. And it was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever heard.
Wow. You were lucky to get to see him in such a small venue like that. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah, I was very lucky, yeah.
It was funny. You said that you didn't know he played the piano. I saw a film, and I can't remember the name of it now. It slips my mind. But it was about the story of Nat King Cole, and people didn't know he could sing.
Well, he was a great jazz piano player.
He was, yeah.
And from what I understand, he started singing because the singer didn't show up.
I mean, there's been a few stories like that. I mean, the other one that comes to mind was Karen Carpenter, where she played the drums and she had to sing something for some reason or another. And she sang and just blew everybody out of the room. And I guess the manager said, okay, you're not going to be playing the drums anymore. You're going to be singing, you know, because just had
a lot of that
voice,
happens in the entertainment business because it's not a business that's really scientific in any way. There's a lot of chance. There's a lot of luck that takes place, and that's how things happen. Like I know I had so many lucky experiences in my career, and I'm still having them, and so that's just the way the nature of the business is.
Let me ask you a philosophical question about music. I'm of the opinion that you cannot teach somebody talent. You cannot teach talent, and you really can't teach somebody to sing if they can't sing to start out with. You can make somebody a better singer through training, but I think you've got to have that kind of DNA to start with. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think that especially when it comes to embellishing songs and embellishing notes, because the natural singer or the natural musician, their ear is attuned to the whole spectrum of musical notes. So they know how to make one flow into the other, and they can improvise and that kind of thing. And that can be taught, but it will never equal the person who has the natural talent for doing that. For example, you can take as many classes as you want, but very, very few people will ever be able to sing like Ella Fitzgerald.
Yeah, well, nobody can sing like Ella Fitzgerald.
Exactly, because she has something that is so special. Another example is Bobby McFerrin.
Yes.
Now, Bobby is an accomplished piano player, but Bobby does something that nobody can do.
Or the one we were just talking about, Nat King Cole. I mean, he...
Oh, absolutely. Just that velvet voice.
Yeah.
He was a great talent, and it's interesting in music that music is kind of segmented in that you can have a person who has a great talent for one aspect of music, but not another aspect. For example, you may have a great singer, but doesn't have the ability to write, or you may have a person who can write, but doesn't have the ability to sing, or someone who can arrange, but doesn't have the ability to write original compositions. So it kind of runs the spectrum, and it's very interesting. So when you're working in music, you always have to be very careful to match the right person with the right job. Because just because a person can play piano well doesn't mean that they can improvise.
Well, that's true. I'm a musician as well. I don't know if you knew that or not.
No, I didn't.
I've been a singer-songwriter for many, many years. And the radio show kind of came out of that. Long story I won't get into. But the one thing I was always amazed about, because I'm a self-taught, I play by ear. I don't read music very well. And, excuse me, and I can write kind of pop tunes and write lyrics and stuff. I always was amazed at the guys who could read the dots and read them very fast. They could just put a piece of sheet music in front of them and they could sit down at the piano and just brrr, and they could just whip that right out. But if you ask them to play a song by ear, they had real trouble with that. Sometimes they get both, but I've seen it more often where people were either one way or the other. And it just kind of always amazed me, that somebody could be studying music for years and years and get all of the mechanics of being able to play by sight reading, but they didn't have the natural
inclination for improvisation. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's
that happens. That I've seen that all my life. I think the first time I recognized it was when I was about 12. A friend of mine down the street from where I lived, he played violin, and he came by my house one day, and I was in a singing group with his older brother, and we were talking, and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm writing a song." He says, "Really? Can I hear it?" I says, "Well, can you play it? I can sing it, and can you play along with it?" He says, "Well, yeah, I'll try." And he took out his violin, and he couldn't play it. And I kept saying, "Okay, da da da," and he just couldn't hear it. He said, "Well, if you write it, I could play it." I said, "But you go to violin classes. You go to violin camp in the summer. What do you mean if I write it? Can't you hear what I'm doing?" He says, "I hear it, but I just can't replicate it from hearing it." And I found that amazing, because I assumed that because he could play and could read music, that he could hear what I was hearing. But that wasn't the case at all.
It's so bizarre. I know for me, it's mind-boggling that you're like, no, it's right there. Just,
No, I mean, I still work with a lot of singers who, for instance, I was working with some country singer from Ireland. She's a good singer, and I sent her a song that we were going to do in my upcoming play. I'm doing a country musical after the lockdown. I'm starting it in Ireland, and she's going to be one of the people involved. And we're recording some of the music now, so I sent one of the songs to her. She was great on one of the songs, which was the slower kind of melodic song. But then I sent her a faster song that I needed her to do as a duet. She just could not manage that song. But that's okay, because every singer can't manage every song. But she did not hear what the song was doing, where it was going. So she won't be able to work on that song, but she'll be able to work on other songs. So again, you have to know what people can do.
I got a quick story, if you don't mind. It's related to
Sure.
what we're talking about. When I was in New York in the early 80s, as I mentioned, I was playing around in different clubs down in the Village, and I met this guy who was a jazz player. He played sax, really, really good player. I mean, he could just pick up anything and play it. And we used to jam together sometimes because he liked to play new stuff. I mean, what he was doing was jazz standards, but, you know, he says, oh, you play Elton John, you play Billy Joel? Yeah. Okay, and then he could just find the part and just, I mean, he was great. Anyways, I ran into him years later. We lost touch. I was back in New York 20 years later. Ran into him. Oh, my God, it's him. And he was still playing with this little quartet in this club, and they had a girl singer. And I sat there and had a few drinks and listened to them play. The band was fabulous. Bunch of older guys who had been around the block a long time. You know, they were doing it like in their sleep. And they had this young girl up in front singing. And I just couldn't figure out, there was something not quite right. She sang well. She looked good, you know, but just something was off, and I couldn't put my finger on it. When they took their break, I came up to him. The guy's name was Howard. I said, Howard, what's the deal with her? Something doesn't sound right. She's not off key, but something is. And he started laughing. I said, what's so funny? He said, she went to school to learn how to improvise. Yeah. I said, you're kidding. I can't teach that. And that's why he was laughing, you know.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're absolutely right. It's something that's innate. You hear it, and you don't have to tell somebody who can improvise what to sing or what to play, because they're going to do that naturally.
Now, then you take somebody like Oscar Peterson. Mm-hmm. When you watch him play piano, I mean, I've watched several videos of him playing. I'm tired after watching him.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, that's his style. He's very busy. He's very busy. He's like Art Tatum. You know, he comes from the Art Tatum school of piano playing. He's very, very busy.
Oh my God! And you know, it's just like I'm getting sweaty just watching him.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he was amazing. So, what do you think about music that's computer created?
I think it has its place. I think if people are talented and know enough about music, they can make the technology work for them. But if they're dependent on the technology is not going to work for them.
Well,
I think that a lot of people that I've been talking to, young people, they seem to think that, okay, I can do this and use this sample and use that sample and use this sample. Well, they can, but it won't have any heart. There's a guy that I've been working with for 20 years, my musical director. He's a jazz pianist, and he can do both. We come in, he'll look for a sample, he'll say that works or that doesn't work. But equally, if we need something, he can just go to his keyboard and do it. So it's the best of both worlds. He understands music so well that he can use the technology to embellish his musical knowledge as opposed to depending on the technology. And I think that is the big difference between people who understand music and people who really don't understand music using technology.
Well, I think that's the key. I think it says the technology works for you or you work for it.
Yes, yes. I mean, I'm doing a song that for my country musical called Cross My Heart. And one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to combine samba, the beat of samba, Brazilian samba, with country music, which I was able to do because I worked on a project in Brazil in 2007, 2008, and while there, I got a lot of samples from the guys who played samba. They just played percussion samba. And I kept these samples, and I said, okay, now, at some stage, I'm going to use these samples in different things. And one of the projects I decided to use it on was this new country musical. And then I mixed the two things, and it really worked. And the reason I knew it worked is because I sent it to some of my Brazilian friends, and they started dancing. I said, okay, that's the acid test, isn't it? and they're not even into country, but they started dancing. I said, okay, that works then. And so I think when you're doing music, you have to understand music, how music works, and how music interlinks. One style of music interlinks with another style of music. One of the things that I learned from Melvin Van Peebles when I was working with him was that a song is a song, but if you put a different arrangement to the same song, it becomes almost a different song.
I think I heard somebody say that in a little different way. Miles Davis said there's always a melody within a melody within a melody, and you can just go on and on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I remember I was about young, late teens, early 20s, and I heard this song that Miles Davis was playing, and it was so beautiful. And I told my friend, I went and I saw the name on the record, and I told my friend about it. I said, listen, I heard Miles playing this thing. It's beautiful, man, called Someday My Prince would Come.
Oh,
and he started laughing.
Yeah.
he says, what do you mean? I said, did Miles write that tune? And he just started laughing. He said, that's Walt Disney. I said, come on, that can't be Walt Disney. And he was right, obviously, but Miles had heard something in that song that no one else had heard.
Well, I love that song, by the way, and I have that album. He uses the first part of that, da 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 da, and then from there it's gone.
Yeah,
he takes it way out, and then they bring it back about 6 minutes later. You know.
Yeah, but the harmonics, the way they play it, and what the bass is doing, it's all very supportive, and it's all very cool. It's not corny like a Disney song.
Oh no,
it's very cool. It's cool and laid back, and you say, oh wow, this is the way the song needs to be played. And that's the beauty of an artist taking a song, doing something with it.
So who wrote that song?
I don't know. Probably the guy who wrote the Disney movie, the guys who did the Disney movie. Yeah.
It sounds like it could have been like one of those Rodgers and Hammerstein or something, but
yeah, could have been. Yeah.
Actually, a lot of people have covered that. I remember hearing Dave Brubeck doing a version of that. It's funny because I could see why your friend laughed, because it was but it's a beautiful song. It's just...
Oh, the melody is haunting. It's haunting. But I think that's the beauty of music. You can take a song that is presented in one way, and then someone else can take it and make something totally different. A perfect example is Summertime.
Oh, that's been
Gershwin 500. Gershwin wrote that for Porgy and Bess. Little did he ever imagine that it would become a jazz standard.
I've heard that song done so many different ways. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's still a great song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely classic. I think my favorite version of it is Ella Fitzgerald's version. She did this one version of it real slow, and just, oh my God, absolutely put you in a trance. I think that it was a 1960 concert in Germany. And I mean, she took it down to just phonograph records. She took it down to 16 speed.
Wow. Yeah.
But it was, and she took the notes up and down and around and everywhere, and then and came back to it.
Yeah, a friend of mine, we were talking the other day. He's a jazz player, and he was saying, he said, listen, he says, if you ever want to learn a song, please don't listen to Sarah Vaughan or Ella Fitzgerald. He said, because they sing so many different notes. He said, you do better just listening to someone who can't sing very well, who just sings the melody. We're having a laugh. And he's right, because if you get someone who really has a style, it'll be difficult to know where one thing begins and the other thing ends.
Yeah, good luck trying to copy Ella.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a waste of time. Teddy, we got to wrap this up.
Okay, great.
You got a website or something you want to?
Yeah, TeddyHayesProductions.com.
All right, super. Well, thanks for coming on the show. This was a lot of fun talking to you. I enjoyed it.
Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it, Douglas.
And best of luck.
And thank you to your listening audience.
You're listening to Mr. Smooth and Savvy right here on the Douglas Coleman Show. We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Hi there, this is Stuart Epps, record producer. This is my story about Elton John, working with him in those early years, going back to 1967 at Dick James, all the amazing tours, those first recordings, going through to Rocket Records. And it's an amazing story about his incredible rise to stardom and my part in that. So look forward to taking you on that journey. So here we go. Yeah, and to order this great audio CD, please just email me at stuartepps@talk21.com. That's Stuart, Stuart, Epps, EPPS, at talk, TALK, 21 in figures.com. Stuart Epps at talk21.com. Email me and I'll give you all the details for buying this brilliant audio disc. Thank you. Bye.
DJC Music and DJC Productions are pleased to announce a brand new website. We have started a listing website for radio show hosts as well as potential show guests. This is a meeting site where hosts and guests can come together. Show hosts can list their show and types of guests they're interested in booking. Potential guests can list their talents, bio, accomplishments, or anything they feel makes them an interesting radio show guest. There are no recurrent payments, only a one-time $5 listing fee. Your listing will stay up until you decide to cancel. Previous guests of The Douglas Coleman Show are welcome to submit their guest listing free of charge. Go to radiohostsandguests.com. That's radiohostsandguests.com.
Acclaimed author of Garden, Jane Yates brings you the first book in a new trilogy, Octopus Pirate, a story of a foundling who has unusual talents, such as the ability to communicate with octopuses. As a baby, he was washed up on an island off the Scottish mainland. An eccentric former nun who lives alone with cats brings him up. He joins a circus and narrowly escapes plots against him, flees to Cornwall, builds a replica pirate ship that's also an airship to travel back in time to fight real pirates. Get your copy today from Amazon, only 99 cents.
Tired of living in a culture of lies, fake news, and alternative facts? The Pro-Truth Pledge reverses the tide of lies by calling on politicians, and everyone else, to commit to truth-oriented behaviors. The pledge asks signees to commit to 12 behaviors that research in behavioral science shows lead to truthfulness, such as clarifying one's opinions and the facts, citing one's sources, and celebrating people who update their beliefs toward the truth. Private citizens who sign the pledge get the benefit of contributing to a more truth-oriented society. Public figures get more substantive rewards for signing the pledge in the form of positive media and public recognition. The pledge crowdsources the truth by asking volunteers to evaluate the statements of public figures who sign the pledge. Take the pledge, demand that your elected representatives do so, and encourage your friends to take it at protruthpledge.org.
Are you an independent musician? How would you like to have your songs played on hundreds of radio stations just like the one you're listening to right now? Join MusicSubmit.com and we'll promote your music to radio stations and blogs in your genre. It's free to set up your account, and we guarantee your music will be considered for airplay by radio stations worldwide. Why not sign up today? It's free. MusicSubmit.com. Radio promotion for indie musicians.
Hi, this is John Morgan, production supervisor for DJC Productions. You're listening to The Douglas Coleman Show.
Okay, please welcome to The Douglas Coleman Show, Stephen Ferrill. Hey, Stephen, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. You're the first guy that has been on this show that is a game show. I'll call you a game show expert. And I am an absolute game show fan. And so I think we can have a good conversation. One of the ones that I liked as a kid was Let's Make a Deal and The Price is Right. I'm not sure if those are the kind of game shows that you were writing about, because those don't require a lot of knowledge other than just being, to know how to do pricing and things like that. But
with knowledge-based shows like Jeopardy or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Okay. The original Jeopardy was 64 to 74. Was that Alex Trebek? Who hosted that? I kind of forget now.
Oh, Art Fleming was his name.
Art Fleming. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I actually got to meet him. We had I was on a radio program here in St. Louis, and he was in the studio that night, and I got to shake hands with him, and that was pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool. So tell us a little about your background and how you got involved in all of this with game shows.
Well, I just had a penchant for odd facts since I was in grade school. I can remember winning a bet with my fifth grade history teacher. He was covering countries of the world, and this is fifth grade, and insisted that USA was larger than China in area. And even in fifth grade, I knew China was number 3 and USA was number 4. Well, my teacher lost the bet, and I got an A in history. So even at this early age, my trivia knowledge started paying dividends.
So, okay, well, now you got me curious. Okay, so the USA is number 4, China's number 3. Number 1, I'm going to guess, is Russia.
Yeah, it was the USSR at the time, but yeah, Russia.
And number 2 is escaping me, though.
Is mostly a frigid place.
Greenland.
No, that's an island of Denmark. No, it's Canada.
Okay.
They've got all that vast territory frozen.
Yeah, that's
frozen
true.
Tundra.
The Northwest Territories and all that. Yeah, okay.
And the Yukon and Inuit, which belongs to the Native American Eskimos up there.
So you've written a book to try to help people. Do people contact you and say, "Hey, I'm going on Jeopardy. Can you help me out?"
Well, actually, I was a lifeline 3 times on the old Who Wants to Be a Millionaire program.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, and that was because of the first 2 editions of my book. No, I get a lot of good reviews. You can check it on Amazon. A lot of 5-star reviews. There's just stuff is categorized in my book, and it's very, very easy to study. It's not all bogged down with information you don't need. Just 2 or 3 word clues, that get you to the right answer, like Swedish Nightingale.
So you're saying that the game shows use a particular set of categories all the time? And that if you study...
Not all the time. They get creative on Jeopardy, with before and after, and begins and ends with a letter D. That was a category last week. But there's the staples that they use: geography, history, movies, many other categories like that you can study for. And this is what I've consists in my book. There's 16,000 facts in my book. And I call it within the Cinderella or Goldilocks zone. And within the Goldilocks zone means they're not too easy and not too hard. It's the same term that NASA uses looking for planets like Earth. They're not too hot or not too cold. Well, the writers of Jeopardy and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire would get these questions in this Goldilocks zone. So, they won't be so easy that everyone can answer them, but they will be difficult enough that only a few people can answer them.
Do you know the process that they use to audition potential contestants on Jeopardy?
Yeah, before, it was the first time I tried out, it was in 97. I flew out to Los Angeles and took the test right there in the studio. It was 50 questions in 50 different categories. And I wasn't sure whether I'd passed it or not, but they came and told me that I did. I think I got 41 out of 50, which is right on the edge. So I got a personal interview, but my phone number rang. So I went back out in 98, and I passed the test again, 99, 2000, 2001. And I passed it all those times, and I never got past the personal interview. Then 9/11 happened, and they moved the test to a nearby hotel. I took it 2 more times. I think it was the Sheraton next to the Jeopardy studios. Passed it 2 more times, but still never got a call. So it's about 7 years in a row where I passed the test, but still never made it on the show. After that, my company put me on midnight shift, and I had trouble recalling, things because I wasn't getting enough sleep. So I just retired recently. So now I'm getting back into it again.
So you've actually never been on the show, is that correct?
Correct. I've taken the test and passed the test a bunch of times.
So what do you suppose they're looking for in addition to people who can pass the test?
Oh, just the way they're going to be on stage. They're relaxed and nonchalant and easygoing. Instead of, they had a contestant on about 4 months ago, and this gal just froze up, and it just felt so sorry for her. A lot of people did. She just was just shaking up there, and so that's what they want to avoid more than anything when they go through the personal interview.
What did you think was the reason that you didn't get picked?
Well, when I was younger, I had stage fright, talking in front of groups of people, and it probably showed. But, I got over it just by doing these interviews, And I host trivia nights, too, and there might be 2 or 3, or I've had a few where even 400 people are there. And I write the questions and deliver the questions in front of all these people. So that helps a lot. You just got to get out and do it.
I think the repetition, of getting out there makes it easier for people.
Yeah, each time you're a little more relaxed.
See, I always had the opposite problem. I have no trouble getting up on stage and performing in front of people, but going to the supermarket and running into somebody I know is a real terror for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, it's completely the opposite. I have no trouble getting up on stage because, I don't know, for me, I'm not really me when I'm out there. I'm putting on an act, whatever it is, either acting or music, and I am portraying this other person when I'm up there. But if I'm at the supermarket, that's me. And, that part of me, I'm very shy. But the part of me that gets out there and does whatever, I don't know. And a lot of performers are like that. They tend to be...
really?
Yeah, they want to be the center of attention when they're on stage, which they are. Or when they're not on stage and they're off in normal life, as we say, then they would rather be invisible. And
never heard that before.
Well, you'll hear that from actors a lot. And I think that, but I also think that I don't suppose that Jeopardy is looking for professional actor types to be on their show either.
No, they want people to relax. And the last year or two, they've got people up there that clown around a little bit, and I think they're looking for that somewhat too. That James Holzhauer, he was always goofing around up there, and they like that a lot. And he got a lot of extra attention because of that.
The other show...
That's the guy that won 30...
Oh, go ahead.
Excuse me? That was the guy that won 34 straight shows, and he holds the single game scoring record, I think the top 10 positions.
Wow.
Sports gambler, yeah.
Yeah. How's Alex Trebek doing? I know he's been battling cancer. Do you have any latest updates on him?
He's in his second round of chemo, and you can see it in his face. And he has mentioned that when he says he's going to retire, he's going to give about 30 seconds notice. For me, that means he's going to say it at the end of the show, and then he's going to be gone. And I fully anticipate that when this current season ends, around the end of this month, that he's going to announce his retirement.
How old is he?
78.
Oh, okay. Well, God, he looks good. Yeah.
Oh, he looks great but he's been wearing a hairpiece now for 4 or 5 months. And it looks, of course, you can afford the best hairpiece money can buy, but it looks pretty natural.
I can remember him on another show that was on in the 80s. Pressure Luck? No. Was that what it was called?
No. I'd have to look that up.
They gave away cars, and you had to match. It wasn't quite concentration, but it was something similar to that. And then now it's stuck. I cannot remember what it was, but I don't know.
You remember concentration, huh?
Yeah, concentration. Well, that was on for a long time, wasn't it? I mean, it started.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, it started in the 50s, and then I think Bill Cullen was the original host on that, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Bill Cullen did a lot of game shows, but yeah, Bill Cullen was a great MC for game shows.
He was like a professional game show. He did the original Price is Right, as I remember.
Mm-hmm.
The one back in the 50s, yeah?
Yeah. He was pretty young then.
Yeah, he was very young.
He was in his early 20s, and he ended up in his career in his 60s, so he had a pretty long span.
Yeah, he sure did. The other one that I liked was Password. I always thought that was a great show, too.
Of Alan Ludden, who was Betty White's husband.
Right.
There's some trivia for you. And that's in the Celebrity Relatives chapter of my book.
Oh, who was married to who kind of thing? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, or brother or sister or, granddaughter,
Well, let's see. Bob Barker was married to somebody named Dorothy Joe.
Who's that now?
Bob Barker?
Bob Barker. Yeah, he mentioned his wife's name, but I'm not sure whether she was a celebrity or not.
I don't think she was, but she was very big into animal rights and animal protection. And he always did that thing at the end of Price is Right, have your dog spayed or neutered.
Mm-hmm.
And he told the story that came from her, because she died quite a number of years ago.
Yeah, and Drew Carey continues on with that tradition. It's part of the show.
Oh, he does it too? See, I haven't seen it with Drew Carey. Well, can you do a couple of trivias? See if you can test my brain here a little bit, and then we'll kind of wrap this up.
Okay, celebrity relatives. Ted Hughes was a writer, and he had a famous wife who was also a writer.
Oh, God, no idea.
Sylvia Plath.
Okay,
Sylvia Plath.
I don't know.
She had a pretty rough demise. Okay, how about the Egyptian king who died at the age of 18?
Tutankhamun?
Yep, King Tut or Tutankhamun. And Jeopardy will accept either answer.
Okay.
How about in Latin, by the fact? How do you say that in Latin? And Jeopardy asks this all the time.
By the fact.
By the fact.
Okay.
B-Y.
I actually studied Latin. Don't know.
Ipso facto.
Ipso. Oh,
and they will have that on, every season, 2 or 3 times every season.
God, that's an easy one too. Okay, go ahead.
This song went to number 1, country and pop charts. This was Ode to Billy Joe, I believe it was 1968. So, who was the singer of Ode to Billy Joe?
Bobby Gentry.
Very good. Wow, you're there.
Okay.
You're there.
Oh, well, this is good. Stick with music, because I'm a musician, so those I know. All right, give me one more if you got one.
Stop off on this one for a second while I look up music. Who wrote Great Expectations?
F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Charles Dickens.
Okay.
The other side of the pond, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here's music. All right, this is right out of my book. Who performed the song Take the A Train?
Duke Ellington.
Wow, you're there. Good. Very good. How about Killing Me Softly with his song? Big smash hit for this gal.
Melissa Manchester?
No.
No.
Roberta Flack.
Oh, Roberta Flack. Okay, I'm thinking of a different song.
Yeah. Huge hit. Yeah, I can remember slow dancing to that in my senior prom.
All right. Well, if you've got the music, do a couple more, because we got a lot of musicians who listen to this show. They'll like this.
Okay. Pretty Woman was taken to the top 10 by 2 different people.
Okay.
One was a band and one was an individual.
Well, Roy Orbison wrote it.
Mm-hmm. And he took it.
He took
the first one to the top 10, yes.
Okay, and the band that took it, Van Halen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
It's good. we hit your category.
Yeah, you did. Well,
how about on the country? How about on the countryside? My Maria.
Yeah, I'm less articulate on country music, though. My Maria? I don't know.
Brooks and Dunn.
Okay. I wouldn't have got that.
So anyway, my book is on Amazon.com. It's $17.95, and it's called Game Show Trivia 6th edition.
Okay.
And it's got over 16,000 quick-hitting facts, just like what I've been giving you right here. Quick-hitting facts, easy to study, not a lot of extraneous stuff that's in most of the other trivia books. So
And what is your website?
Really quick study. You can be ready to go on Jeopardy probably within a couple months after you get this book.
How does one apply to go on Jeopardy? You just go to their website?
Now, they just started doing this about 6 months ago. But you go to Jeopardy.com and you can take the test right then. It's 50 questions in 50 different categories. You've got 15 seconds to type in each answer.
Wow. Okay.
And you don't have to put it in the form of a question.
It's smart that they give you only 15 seconds. Otherwise, people will be looking them up as they run along.
Even with the 15 seconds, if you got someone helping you, the way you can speak into your phone now. But they if you pass this, they'll call you in and they'll give you a supervised test where there's no chance of cheating. Because I'm sure, for me, the easiest way to beat this would be to have a room full of smart people. You know, you got 10 or 12 really smart people. You know, between all the questions, 50 different categories, you're going to be able to answer most of the questions.
Yeah, or a couple of guys that can type really fast to pull it up, and you get high-speed internet, you know. You could pull it up on Google that fast. But 15 seconds? Nah. I don't think you could pull it up that quick. I think that's pushing it.
A lot, because you're trying to do 2 or 3 things at one time, you know.
Yeah.
Then your time runs out and you're on to the next question already.
Well, my guest is Stephen Ferrill, and he is the author of a book called Game Show Trivia. Sold over 20,000 copies, according to your bio, which is great. And are you going to be writing another one?
Yeah, I'm working on 7th edition.
7th edition. Okay. Wow.
Well, you consider that, you know, things like Oscars and politicians are constantly going in and out of office. You know, you got new Oscar winners every year, and it has to be updated, you know, on a regular basis. So
that's true. And your website is?
GameShowTrivia.tv, and the landing page is GameShowTrivia.net.
Okay, super.
And I was just negotiating this morning, negotiating with the guy that's got GameShowTrivia.com, and I think I'm going to buy that from him. So, but it's GameShowTrivia.tv, like television.
You know, I wanted to ask you about that since you brought that up. If somebody has a domain name and you want it, I mean, are people like charging a lot of money for it if they think that you're going to get thousands of hits?
I don't know. Just to talk to GoDaddy about this is $66 before I even start negotiating. But I heard a story that this guy, when this first came out, he had McDonald's.com, and it was worth a small fortune. And McDonald's was trying to buy it from him, and all he wanted was McDonald's come in and build a park where the children could play in his hometown, and they did. And he handed over the name to McDonald's. So they are valuable.
Oh, that was nice. That's
that worked out for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Stephen, thanks for coming on. This was a lot of fun. Best of luck, and we'll look for the 7th edition coming out, yeah?
Yeah, 6th edition's on Amazon.
Super.
Okay, thank you. It was fun.
Every day about 11 o'clock, going to Cuomo, got the spot. I'm on the couch, listening in, check it out. I'm telling you friends, he's giving me the numbers and I'm writing them down. Bow my head, pray without a sound. Lord knows we're gonna make it through. Alone together, me and you, we're gonna shelter in place. I'm in my PJs all day. Ooh, we're gonna shelter in place. Still in my PJs all day. Well, maybe you were going crazy over there. I'm talking to myself, I swear. But Governor Cuomo, counting on you to hold my hand and see me through. I'm in New York, tough in North Carolina. There's a solution, Cuomo gonna find it. You don't know it, but I'm writing you in. President Cuomo, my friend, we're gonna shelter in place. I'm in my PJs all day. We're gonna shelter in place. Still in my souls. God knows it's a heavy toll. Oh, I'm sending my love to the families. May comfort find you as you grieve. Ooh, we got a shelter in place in our PJs all day. Got a shelter in place, still in our PJs all day. All day. Shelter and shelter and shelter, shelter and shelter and shelter all day.